Do you want to know how parents can talk to their child about eating disorders? I'm Nicholeen Peck, and I teach all over the world about parenting, good communication, how to build strong family bonds, and child development, all through the lens of the principle self-government. And in this video, we're talking about eating disorders. For many years, I did therapeutic treatment care for troubled teens, and a lot of youth came through my home. Some of them had eating disorders that we had to work through. So I do have some experience with this topic, and hopefully that experience will be able to help you as you have very delicate conversations with your child or youth. In this video, we're going to talk about eating disorders and what the child or youth might be thinking in relation to their own eating disorders, and how to have conversations with them about the eating disorders that empower them and don't shame them for this struggle that they might be going through. First off, we need to talk about the fact that there are multiple different kinds of eating disorders. So sometimes there's eating disorders that are overeating disorders. A lot of people don't think of those as eating disorders, but it's true. Many times we think about the type of eating disorders where a person is not eating, or they're eating a lot and then purging, those types of things which are very damaging for the body. But also there are disorders where people overeat, and I would say that probably that's the more common eating disorder nowadays, where parents are not teaching their children how to regulate their eating, and so they just end up creating a habit that is an overeating disorder. And some parents even glorify eating too many things or eating the wrong things. Our culture has created connection with each other around certain things that we eat and when we eat certain things, and even have created this environment where it's socially unacceptable not to eat sometimes. And that can be very difficult for a young person to navigate. When they're served something, they're just like, well, I just got to eat it. Some parents also teach their children they have to eat absolutely everything that's on their plate, and they just develop that as a habit. And sometimes, of course, we're eating the wrong types of things as well. So these are the different types of eating disorders that we have. I would say that when you're eating the wrong types of foods, even if your body looks healthy, that actually can be an eating disorder that can damage your energy and your overall health as well. So just eating too much sugar and being addicted to sugar is a type of an eating disorder. No matter what you're dealing with, let's talk about how to talk about that. Eating is a very personal thing. In fact, I think that most people use eating for comfort. And so this is a reason that having conversations about food can feel kind of like we're wanting to walk on eggshells. That could be like a touchy conversation. But just remember how commonplace it is to eat too. So don't tiptoe around the conversation of eating disorders and good, healthy eating. In fact, taking the approach of healthy eating is a good avenue to take. Like, hey, let's talk about healthy eating. That's an adult skill that everybody needs to learn for life. There are things that we prefer to eat, and then there are things that our bodies actually prefer to eat, and we need to talk about those, right? So having conversations periodically about how to be healthy is going to be the proactive way, the better way to address somebody's eating problems, rather than always hitting on the fact that they're doing it wrong, that they're eating wrong. That's gonna just want to make them drown their sorrows in a pool of chocolate all the more. I'm talking about my own issue here now a little bit more because I really love chocolate. It is a weakness, I will say. You want to be understanding about where your child's at with their eating, and recognize that they might even have some fears associated with food. So maybe they're overeating because they have a fear of not having enough, because maybe they've had older siblings who eat all their favorite things all the time and they're not sure they're getting enough food. Also, you do need to know that some people, especially if you're dealing with an overeating tendency, there are some people that in their brain do not have that little shut-off switch that tells them when they're full. And so that's another thing, that they might be afraid of not getting enough because they're used to eating to the point of pain. and they think that pain is full. And so please keep that in mind if you're dealing with that. But if you're dealing with a person who is not eating, or they are doing bulimia where they're eating a lot and then purging it, they're probably having other fears. Their fears are that they'll look bad. Their fears are what people will think about them, or that they won't be able to attract certain people, those types of things that are leading them to undereat and to malnourish themselves. Keeping in mind what a person's fears are is going to be really helpful when you're having this type of a touchy conversation. In fact, having them know that you do understand can really go a long way. So in my Teaching Self-Government Parenting training, I talk about 5 different styles of teaching that parents use with their children. One of those styles of teaching is called a parent counseling session. This is a conversation where you have one topic to discuss, just you and your child, and you talk about the issue at hand, and you talk about what you can do or how you can create a plan or a system for getting this particular issue under control, how they can self-govern themselves better. So that's exactly what you'll want to do with eating disorders. Now, I do just want to say it can be beneficial to meet with an eating disorder expert, a type of a therapist or counselor that just handles eating disorders. That is not me. I took youth into my home that had eating disorders. I had to help them through it. And so I know what I'm talking about when we talk about, conversations about eating disorders and how to help them through the steps. But sometimes there could be underlying issues that need some therapeutic help. Be sure to just have a time where you can have that alone time for a conversation and make it seem really conversational and comfortable. Maybe you're out to lunch and you're just talking about normal things, and you say, there's something I wanted to talk to you about. I've had a little bit of a concern about you lately, because I noticed that you are really worried about looking beautiful or being attractive, or you're really worried about not having enough to eat. And I just wanted to tell you that I recognize that fear that might be in there, and that I understand that because I've experienced this before, or because it's really common for people to experience this type of fear that you're having. So, let them know that you understand them and get on the same page with them. After that, you might want to say, let's talk about what types of thoughts go through your head when you are confronted with food. Like, what actually do you think? So I'd start to ask them some questions that maybe get them to go in a proactive direction. Now, first, this is just the analyze step. So we're going to analyze what's going on. Then I'll repeat back what I understood from them. And then I'll ask maybe another question. My second question might be something like, what type of a conversation, internal conversation, do you think you should be having in order to make it so that you don't fall into this same trap? And then we might say, okay, so what's the trigger moment? Because there's always a trigger moment. What's the trigger moment? Is it smelling something? Is it seeing something? Is it a certain time of day that you notice it is on the clock? What is the trigger moment that makes you think that you shouldn't eat or that you should eat? And whatever it is that you're eating, maybe it's sugar. Do you pass by the pantry? What is that thing? Now, when you have that trigger moment, what are you going to tell yourself now instead of what you have been telling yourself? And what type of a goal can we make for yourself? What are some positive consequences that we could work toward to help you with this? Now, you can also set up negative consequences for the person if they want negative consequences for having the eating disorder problem. Sometimes those can be beneficial, but sometimes just having the conversation about it and then just analyzing it on a daily basis is enough. How did you do with this issue today? Did you give yourself a no answer when you needed to? Or did you give yourself an instruction to eat when you needed to? And when it was healthy stuff, did you give yourself an instruction to eat the healthy stuff, and did you eat your amount of that? You may want to have positive consequences, things they're working toward, as well as having that moment where they connect with you each day about it. And then each evening, maybe before bed, I would just have a little conversation with them about how they felt they did that day and celebrate the good moments. And when they have a moment where they felt like they kind of gave in to temptation and didn't eat or did eat when they shouldn't have, those types of things, then talk about, how that can happen and how tomorrow's a new day, and let's make a plan for what we can do tomorrow to not fall in the same trap. Overcoming addiction is a road. It's not a magic button. It's a journey, and they need to know that. And so an eating disorder is a mental addiction that they have to thinking a certain way. But we can help them. And learning some of those 4 basic skills of self-government can really help. So there is a whole class, it's a full-length class called The Not-So-Known Secret for Parenting Success. That class goes into more details about the 4 basic skills, how to do corrections and set up motivation systems for your children. So I suggest going to watch that video next.